new GM dealership, and the subject property is at the corner of the 11th Avenue Northeast frontage road and 40th Street Northeast. This property is about 5 acre area, and development site is that on the eastern portion. The approximate square feet. It is set back property line 200 feet from the actual highway. You might want 50 to 60 feet. Most of the site is taken up by parking, either purposes or staff and service. The two are right off 11th come up with the plan. Based on comment, design review panel came back with some revisions to the original submission system. It's the most designated highway commercial out of this 97 Trans-Canada Highway node here, and it's approximately 650 meters from the nearest sanitary sewer system, which is our McDonald's here. The OCP supports satellite treatment centers here in this area here, subject to the proper approvals from Interior Health Authority or Ministry of Environment, depending on the size and capacity of the system. So staff support that variance request. Similar to the storm sewer, there's no storm structure in this node here, and provided that the applicant design and install a on-site stormwater management system, staff have no problem with that either. Staff has to approve that stormwater management, and so does the Ministry of Transportation before development could actually proceed. I'll get to the water main last, the water main variance request. The other two are related to road upgrades and the road standard along the two frontages. Along the 11th Avenue Northeast frontage, we just recently amended our subdivision and development servicing bylaw to require all frontage roads along the highway to be upgraded to the local street standard, which is your typical curb, gutter, sidewalk, and street lighting. Initially, when the application there was quite a lot of back and forth between the applicant and staff, and we came to a consensus on both parties could support here, and that was to basically upgrade the entire frontage with curb, gutter, and sidewalk, not street lighting along here. The rationale for foregoing street is enough lighting from the on light post there. Along 40th Street Northeast, the same standard applies as far as a local street standard, but in this case, staff is willing to support a variance, have the west half of the road upgraded to a rural standard, which is basically 7.3 meter wide paving and ditching works. One of the reasons we're supporting that is because the landscaping plan is showing a line of existing mature trees and shrubs along this eastern property boundary to remain as is. It's unknown exactly at this time if that will be able to happen, if the existing trees will be able to stay there as a result of if they're not able to stay there, then staff will require tree planting along this edge here. Staff support the two variances related to road upgrades. The only variance staff doesn't support is to waive the requirement to extend the water system, the water main, or provide a cash contribution in lieu of upgrading. Cash contribution of 50% will cost to extend the water main to the northeast corner of the site from 11th Avenue Northeast. I've been working with the applicant over the last 3 months on this, Don Matheson, who is here today, and I imagine he will be willing to answer any questions about the design of the building or any concerns you have about that.
Thank you. Discussion, Council?
Storm and all that as development takes place out east there, and I'm wondering what kind of a satellite treatment plant would be done for sewage? Is that something new that we would be doing here in town?
Engineer?
Your Worship, the satellite sewer systems we're talking about are either high-end sewage disposal tile field to ground with a septic tank, depending on the daily flow, or a mini wastewater treatment plant, which would then be owned and operated by the same part of our sewer system. And the third option to service that area is with a pump station and force main back to the gravity sewer at McDonald's. We've had a recent estimate done by a consultant. I believe it was about $1.4 million to do that work. So a satellite treatment plant does seem like the most viable option.
And should there be development, to Your Worship, out further east, and they have done this plant of whatever nature it turns out to be, they cannot really be expected to contribute then at that point, can they? And eventually, it seems to me like there's going to have to be some services taken all the way out to the junction.
Once they have their sewer system in place and installed, then they would not have to contribute to that system until their system failed. If their system failed and they needed to connect to it, if it was provided for during the construction, they have to pay their share.
Okay. And I was trying to visualize with regard to waiving the upgrade to do the half. I'm thinking of stuff on the right-hand side, the west, or go north. How would you do half?
Your Worship, would be required as the developer when he builds to build 7.3 meters of asphalt, which then provides for two-way traffic and have an asphalt paved road. And the main reason why we're supporting the local road stand is that 40th Street, as you continue to the north, is a rural road flanked by agricultural properties on both sides. And it's like the main access into the viaduct along the frontage road, along 11th Avenue. I think as we probably to the east about the access will be off the frontage road as well, and not off 40th Street, although the side access may come off 40th Street.
And through you, again, Your Worship, it would be totally back along the property, right to the end of the north end?
That's correct, Your Worship. You'll have to upgrade it right to the north end of the property.
And I just want to say that I think a 50% cash contribution for these services, as per point 3, would be in order. So, wait to hear what others think.
Thank you. I wonder if the engineer could clarify something for me. On Appendix 3, this is a letter from Salmon GM, probably by Mr. Matheson. On the third or fourth paragraph, it says 40th Street is a street that presently ends at the end of our property and turns into a private access road into the AR farmland. Now, I have the impression, perhaps you could clarify that.
Yes, Your Worship. It's what's called a 342 road under provincial legislation, and what that means is that the actual road right-of-way is not dedicated as other roadways in the city would be dedicated through subdivision. It's an historic road that exists and can continue to exist. The city maintains it and plows it, so it is a public road but not a public dedicated road.
So saying it's a private access road isn't quite accurate. So.
No, it is a public road.
Thank you. Okay, Council, I hope you are aware that the motion as presented is not exactly the same as the motion as recommended by staff. Councillor Lyson.
I would move, Your Worship, that amend the motion as presented to the staff recommendations, which I believe is point 3, the cash contribution for upgrade for the water extension.
So the motion, as I understand, would be to delete item 2, section 3 out of this motion. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lyson. Discussion on the amendment.